Hi and welcome to Swift Programming Challenges, and today we're going to take a look at the difference between a structure and a class. So this is a bit of a hands-on, just experimenting and trying out the two ways we use to store information. You can use them to store information, you can use them to create objects. They're great. They're very similar, though the class has some bonus capabilities, and we'll take a look at those in this video. So here's a challenge: create a structure and a class. All right. So we'll open up our Xcode and just create a playground. And a blank playground is great. And we'll call it struct versus class. And just get rid of that first line there. And we're ready to go. So first challenge, create a struct. So pause or keep on playing. Let's play. All right, so we've got struct. And I'm just going to call it my struct. Now make sure you use capital letters on structs and classes to tell, so you can tell the difference between variables and constants. And then you will not get confused. Okay, so we've got our struct, my struct, and let's create a class. Very simple, my class. Capital letter again, and two curly brackets afterwards. Notice I just started with that curly bracket, pressed enter, and it creates the other one automatically. All right, we've done it. So that's the first challenge. Now let's see what's different. Now, just create a variable inside both of these called name, and we'll make it a string. We'll have nothing on it to start off with. All right, that's done. All right, how can we tell the difference between these? Now, a struct is what we call a value type, and a class is a reference type. So with a struct being a value type, it's just copied when you put it to a new when you associate it with a new variable. While with a class, it has a reference to any existing classes that exist. Okay, so if you copy a class to a new variable, it will alter the initial class that it was created from. But with a struct, that does not happen. So that's one difference. What other things can you do? You can store variables in them or constants like we've got there. Other things you can do is you can provide access to their variables or to their values. You can initialize them and extend them, and they both conform to protocols. So that's what they both can do. But a class has bonus properties like inheritance, so you can create another class that will inherit this class's attributes or properties and functions. Other things is casting. You can, at runtime, you can check if a class is an instance of another class. And another thing a class can do is you can de-initialize. So you can initialize, you create. De-initialize, you can get rid of things to free up resources. All right, so let's give it a go and compare these two. So first, let's create a struct. Okay, so how to use these? Just say you create a variable. I'm going to call it struct1 equals my struct. And to initialize it, use the round brackets. It's the same for class 2. And we're going to use its variable or its property by just using the dot syntax. There we go, and we'll associate a string calling it struct number 1. Now just say we create another one and we copy the original struct to it and we change the name. Now, in your mind, as you do this, what have we got here? There's an error here. Oops, I didn't do the dot syntax, dot name. All right, so what will happen here? What will this print? Okay, and have a guess before you run it. And then what will this print? All right, now if you say it's going to print that, yes, you're correct. Struct number 1 for the struct 1, and I've changed struct number 2 to struct number 2. Is it going to print that? And if you guess that yes, it's going to print struct number 2, you're correct. Now the other thing I talked about was how a class references to the initial class. So if I check the initial, oh, don't worry about that. Sometimes Playground does that. So I'll do full screen. And I'm going to make this a bit larger if you're on a iPhone or something, or a, there we go, that's better. Here we go. All right, so let's have a look. Were we correct? Print, oh, you can see down below anyways. So it has changed the struct, but let's check again. Let's see what happens to it. Let's see if the initial struct has changed, and no. So even though we've copied it, it's not referring to the initial struct. All right, let's have a look at our reference type, which is the class. So we're just going to do the same thing again. And I'm just going to paste that down there. And I'll just change all of those. I wonder if I can do rename in here. Edit, rename. Yeah, find and replace. Let's do that. Yeah, S1 with C1. And I want it to start here. So it started there. Good. Replace all of those. Good. And then we don't want to change those. And then I want to change this to C2. I'll just do it. Change that to class. So we're just doing the same experiment again. And we're just going to have a look at how it refers to the initial one. And I'm just going to comment this out. So command and backslash. So we're concentrating on this one. Let's run that. And you'll see something quite different. All right, so we've renamed, have I done that right? C1, yep, prints that. Now I've renamed, oops, that's got to be my class. So it's not doing it because that's a struct, okay? Let's have a look. Why is it doing that? Hey, that was different. Like S2 and S1 actually printed the name in there. Well, this one you have to actually refer to the variable. That was quite different, wasn't it? So that's something else too. Anyway, let's try it now. It actually printed the class. All right, here we go. So as you can see, in the first class, it's changed to class number 1. Yep. All right, we've named it class number 1. Class number 2. But because we've copied class number 1 and we're renaming it here, it's still going to refer to the first instance of the class, and it'll rename that. Okay, so there's a little example of classes and structs. I hope you enjoyed that, and that's how you can sort of test things, try things out, just build them and see what they do. Now that was, I want to take a look at that one more time. That was quite interesting before. I haven't seen that before, and all I did was run this. Even though I didn't say I want to print the name, it prints the name of that struct anyways. Let's see that again. All right, so what it's done is it shows you the struct and it shows you what's inside it. So it's got a name, and but with the class it doesn't do that. It's kind of interesting. So it's sort of like, I wonder if it's like an array or something, like if you go dot first or something. No, it just shows you what's inside the struct. Very interesting. Let's try add something else to it and check it out. So that's kind of cool. If you want to find out what the struct contains, you just print the struct. While a class, it will not do that. You actually have to specify what property you're after. So a little bit of bonus information there about structs and classes. Cool. So yeah, take it easy. I'll talk to you soon. It's been great fun. See ya.